The following podcast is recorded and produced by Emerge, a media creators co-op, in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com.
Seven of the Big Yak Podcast. It is I, Mike Pareto, and across the table is Nico Salambetti, as always. How are you today, Nico?
I'm over here on the other side of the table today, not in my usual spot. What's going on with you?
I'm all right. Had a little bit of turn of events, so it's just us today.
We were 4 deep, and then we suddenly became 2 deep.
Yeah, so we had some people. Some things fell through, so now it's me and Nico, which is fine. We're just going to run our regular scheduled program. We had a little bit more planned because of the guests, but it's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, so it won't take too much of your guys' time up. How was your Nico?
My Nico's pretty good.
Your Nico, yeah? How was your weekend, Nico?
It was good. I did a cornhole tournament this weekend.
Yeah.
Me and my dad entered in a cornhole tournament, and so there were 2 tourneys. The first tourney, we went all the way down to the championship game.
Oh.
Lost by a point in the championship game.
Wow.
That was brutal. But then there was a blind draw for the second tourney, and the blind draw ended up pairing me and my dad together again. Won the second tourney.
Oh, you won the second tourney.
Yes, sir. Walked home with an extra $100 in my pocket each, and called it a good day.
There you go.
And then I saw Oppenheimer last night.
Okay, how was Oppenheimer?
Dude, Oppenheimer was probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest movie I've seen in recent memory.
Wow, that's a bold take.
It was fantastic. And, I could go on Next to Kin and talk about this movie for a whole hour.
Yeah.
But just every scene there was just so much tension, and there was conflict in every scene. And, I went to school for TV, radio, film production. Seeing stuff like that, that's my wheelhouse. And one of the big things they taught us, especially when I was concentrating in screenwriting, was creating tension and conflict in every scene. And Christopher Nolan just did a great job with executing that in this film. And I was blown away. It was a fantastic film. Right afterwards, me and Molly entered the rabbit hole of the Manhattan Project and the Trinity test and all that. It was
YouTube searches,
awesome.
Going on Reddit,
Yep.
Stuff like that.
Going down the rabbit hole.
But
you got that shirt on. Why don't you talk about your little experience this weekend?
Yeah, so this past Monday, me, my dad, and my brother all decided to get in the car and take a trip down to Canton, Ohio, and go see the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Never seen it before, but it was a very cool experience. Check it off the bucket list. Basically, if anybody who hasn't been there, it's just a really big museum. I didn't realize it's like a campus. It's kind of not like a college campus, but they have restaurants. They have a Ferris wheel. They're building on and putting a water park, by the Pro Football Hall of Fame Museum. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, This is crazy. This is just a crazy experience, and I had a lot of fun going to see football throughout the years, each generation, basically from the early 1900s till now. They had some interactive stuff. They had some shows. They had a little theater. They just had everything. So I got to try on a Super Bowl ring. That was pretty cool.
You did okay. So they didn't have that when I went last year. You couldn't try it on. You could just see it in the display case.
One of the women working there had one just kind of on her finger.
Just sporting it?
Just sporting it. It was a Pittsburgh Steelers ring, and I tried it on. It was pretty cool. If I gotta find the picture. I think my brother might have it. I think he took it on his phone. But I'll post it on the Big Yak Instagram story.
Mike with his Super Bowl ring.
Mike with a Super Bowl ring on. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So, we decided to go there. We caught a Cleveland Guardians game. They played the Toronto Blue Jays. The game itself sucked. But the experience going to Progressive Field, it's a cool baseball stadium. Very differently laid out than a lot of other baseball stadiums out there. But we sat in the outfield. I had a home run that was hit right next to me. Kevin Biggio of the Cleveland Guardians hit a home run right next to me, and that was the only point scored, I think, of the whole game. There was only one hit by each team until the 8th inning. So it's kind of like imagine you're watching a football game, and the first 3 quarters have 0 points. That's basically how.
So
it felt.
what was it, Super Bowl 53 or
Yeah,
whatever?
the Rams Patriots. Yeah. It was kind of like that. Very kind of boring, but a lot of defense.
All right.
A lot of good defensive plays. But yeah, it was a cool experience. Didn't really pay much for tickets, so I mean, it wasn't like a big loss.
That's how it was last year when me and Molly went to DC. We just on a whim decided to catch a Nationals game, and it was like $50 a ticket. We were right on the third baseline, so yeah, baseball tickets are cheap, which
compared to, I mean, I think it's like there's so many games in the year. I don't think they expect everybody to, there's not that much of a demand.
Right. It's not like football where there's 8 games that you can go to for your home team, and that's it.
Right. Yeah. It's like 1 game per week, and that's it. So, and you have to choose between some of those games. I know some people that go on like a road trip, and they'll go from city to city, and they'll bang out like 4 different ballparks in like a week.
That's awesome.
Like, you can do that.
There are a lot of people I know that, for me, like one day I want to go see every single NFL stadium.
Yeah.
But I want to, there are a ton of people that I know that want to see every single baseball diamond. I don't know why I was blanking on diamond. Whatever that thing they play baseball on.
Building.
Yeah, the baseball building. Yeah, sure. Or football podcast.
Football podcast. I mean, I got a Milwaukee Brewers jersey.
All right.
So I could wear it next time.
Okay, yeah, why not?
Like I'll wear threat.
I'll wear my Guerrero jersey.
Yeah.
I have that.
Yeah, there you go. Turn into tank talk over here. Or like someone or Trap Nerd.
Trap Nerd, yeah. Shout out them.
Shout out them. What else? So I also went to 50 Cent as well.
Yeah, that was this week.
Yeah, that was yeah, I'm just all over the place.
You're a busy boy.
Busy boy. 50 Cent was cool. That, on the other hand, I paid a little bit too much for a ticket. 50 Cent, everybody knows 50 Cent. There was people there from toddlers to elderly people.
Hated to love it, the underdogs on top.
Yeah, they were, he's such an iconic guy. His Super Bowl performance 2 years ago was great. And Darien Lake was sold out. There was not like any space there to breathe. So,
it's nuts.
As I said, people of all ages just there to witness 50 Cent, Busta Rhymes, Jeremiah, and then he brought out Benny the Butcher and Conway the Machine.
Oh, wow.
So paying homage to some Buffalo favorites.
Some Buffalo locals, if you will.
Buffalo locals. So, yeah, it was a cool concert. Yeah, Darien Lake concerts always get a little crazy.
Me and Molly are going to the Lumineers in a couple weeks.
Okay.
At Darien Lake. I don't think it's gonna get 50 Cent crazy.
No. Though, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think the only Lumineers song I know is the
Ho!
Oh Hey.
Hey!
Yeah, that song.
Or Ophelia. I said I gotta brush up on my Lumineers.
Yeah. I think as I said, I know like one song. But like 50 Cent, I know I knew like six or 7 songs.
Yeah, sure.
I'd probably say about like a good hour of the concert. I was singing, maybe. No, I'd probably say like a good like half hour. I think the concert was like 2 hours long. I don't know why I thought it was longer, but yeah, 50 Cent was cool. Just Darien Lake concerts. Going there on a party bus. Things get a little crazy, you start drinking.
You're a party bus veteran at this point.
Party bus veteran. I mean, here's the thing. It's like it's better than going if it's gonna be a concert like that where I know it's gonna be packed. Like Post Malone, 50 Cent, I knew it was gonna be packed.
Of course.
Buses have like the early exit thing.
Yeah.
So that's
true.
That's the thing is early exit. 2, you get to drink and you don't have to worry about getting behind the wheel of a car and doing
all that. Yeah.
I don't want to get into all that, but don't want to trigger anything. So it's just very convenient.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, yeah.
I've driven there multiple times, and you just get stuck there, and it's like a whole another hour. So then you're not there. You're not home until like almost 1 a.m.
Right.
And I'm not somebody that likes to take off the day after an event like that.
Yeah, you're just
So,
built diffy.
I'm
You're just built my body. I'm just built diffy.
I don't I just show up to work.
Simply.
Just simply. I might be, a little hungover, but I'm still there. I'm still there. I still make it somehow, some way. Yeah, kind of a little eventful last week. Let's get on to the rest of our show.
Let's talk about the news. What's going on in the world of the NFL?
World of the NFL. So another week of training camp. I believe we're in week 3. I want to say week 3 or week 4 maybe. It's the pads are on. This is when the real football comes out. The whole. There's still highlights you see coming out, but you see the highlights kind of reduce a little bit. Not everybody is looking as good because I feel like everybody looks good when you don't have the pads on.
Yeah.
But then some other players emerge. And the guys like George Pickens, he's still putting up plays, so that's a good indicator that he's probably going to have a good season upcoming. It's just stuff like that. You get to see more of like the offensive line, defensive line plays, because you only get to see really like a walkthrough when you have.
That's the thing.
no
You
pads.
can't put too much investment into training camp. Remember, I think it was this time, Jamar Chase's rookie year, where he had that one drop. And
It
people
was the
were
whole
like,
football, like college football to NFL football debate.
yeah.
And he was going to be a flop and all this stuff.
Right. It was like, we haven't even played a real NFL snap yet, and we're already judging players and where they're at. So I can't put too much stock in it, but seeing consistently good practices over and over is such a good sign for me.
Right, yeah. So if you're able to do that with pads on, with pads off, and you're able to put it up that kind of performance on a consistent basis, then, things are looking good. But also you can't judge a book by its cover, especially for rookies. I'm not over here, if Anthony Richardson has a bad week of practices, I'm not going to go out here and be like, oh, he's going to be a flop. I mean, I want to see him play an NFL game first before anything.
I want to see him play an NFL season, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. So, one game won't indicate what you are, but if, one season, if the training camp performances translate as a season to the season as a whole, and it's like, oh, wow, we knew this was coming, then fine.
Right.
But like the Jamar Chase thing was like he's going to be a bust because he's not used to the NFL footballs and
Yeah, it was the size of the ball.
the
You're
size
right.
of the
That's
ball
what it was.
too. And I knew people who were passing on him, like just not giving him a chance, and now he is arguably. I don't even know. Arguably, the second best receiver in the NFL. He's a top 3 receiver for sure.
He has the potential to take that number 1 spot this year.
Yeah.
Not saying he's going to, but he has the potential to go nuclear
I think
this year.
Jetta has it on lock right now, but you never know.
Right.
You never know. Joe Burrow, once he comes back, if he's that injury, that calf injury isn't nagging him, then let's stop him.
Let's talk about that. Some of these injuries that have happened down in training camp. Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor, when he was interviewed from press conference earlier today, he said, "We are several weeks from when I said several weeks away from Joe Burrow being healthy."
Oh, he must have had a setback then, maybe?
That I guess take that info for what you will, but we're several weeks from several weeks.
Several weeks from several weeks. That's
So
not a good
that's
sign.
not a good thing to hear. With especially coupled with Jamar Chase saying, "Don't rush it, don't come back in right away." Jamar Chase saying that he doesn't want to see Joe Burrow back until week 5.
Yeah.
I mean, who's gonna throw? Trevor Siemian, Jake Browning? Who's gonna take
That
care of
would
that
be
offense?
scary. You might have to sit Jamar Chase for a couple of games. I mean, I don't know if I would do that, but I mean,
you can't. It's your best offensive player.
you
If you want to
can't,
give
but
yourself a chance.
he might go down to like a flex spot. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Oh,
It's
you mean
just-
from a fantasy perspective?
Oh, fantasy perspective. Oh yeah, no, I'm not sitting him in real life. But like in a fantasy perspective, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't like Trevor Siemian, man.
Hey, Jake Browning was throwing some beautiful balls in training camp.
Yeah, it's Jake Browning though. Man. He hasn't played an NFL game yet. I don't know. I can't. I don't know. If I had if I had a deep wide receiver room, I might just say, hey Jamar, just kind of.
I got two
Your time will come.
dynasties. I got 2 dynasties with Jamar Chase in them. I'm kind of like clenching my cheeks.
Your
a little bit.
dynasty is I have Joe Burrow.
Yeah. So,
So-
we're kindred spirits here. We both need. I think we're facing each other
We're facing
week
each
one
other
too.
week 1 actually, yeah, in your league.
Oh,
So
brother.
yeah, so if Burrow can't go, then I have to start Jordan Love and Daniel Jones, which
That's
not.
solid.
It's still solid, but it's not ideal, when you have Joe Burrow. So it's going to be a very interesting week 1 for us. A couple other injuries. Marlon Mack. That was kind of a sad
That's
tale.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
The Cardinals. I feel like they just have so many running backs. They just different running backs just keep popping up into their backfield.
Yeah.
I forgot that Marlon Mack signed with the Cardinals, to be
Yeah.
honest, until today when I got the news that he tore his Achilles. And it's just such a sad thing to see as just as a fan of the game. I will never forget Marlon Mack's beautiful fantasy run.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
4 or 5 years back when he just went on a tangent. He was like waiver wire, like league winner type, and then
Yep.
he had so much promise for the Colts way back when, and then and it just kind of goes to show about the state of the running back market right now. But yeah, sad to see, sucks to see, but James Conner still
Still a
chugging
guy.
away.
Yeah, no,
And
he's
it-
still a guy.
if anything else, it's an indication to continue to draft James Conner.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to see Marlon Mack as like as a fan of the game kind of thing. I knew he probably wasn't going to get that many touches, but it would have been cool to see him like still be a contribution with how, as you said, the running back market has developed into because it's very poor. What else? Henry Ruggs sentenced to 3 to 10 years for his incident back in 2021. That's that's very unfortunate as a guy who had so much promise. We talked about it a little bit on the show last year.
Yeah, there's not really much else to say.
It's not really much else
It
to say.
happened.
It's
We
just,
just got to report it. I mean, yeah, he's getting 3 to 10 years for drunk driving, going 150 miles an hour, killing
it's
someone.
Sad as deserved, man. It's just, it sucks for just everything. It sucks. That had to happen. Somebody lost their life, and also a dog lost their life as well.
Yeah.
He also put himself down a path where he's probably not going to, not like, a mental path where you're probably not going to recover for a while, a long time. You're serving 3 to 10 years.
Right.
And if you get that, that 10 years, get that, cause that's a big, jump.
That's a big difference.
Big
3
difference.
years to 10
3
years.
years, it's 3 years, but 10 years off your life is crazy. I can't even imagine just throwing away a decade of my life.
Right.
Like, that's basically saying, like, oh, from 14 to 24 or, like, 24 to 34. Like, those are prime years.
Right.
Prime living years. So, just very unfortunate. Very promising athlete as well. He was going to be a big piece of that Raiders offense, but, yeah, sad to see that happen. Also have the Kareem Hunt kind of debacle.
He went to the Saints, but then I saw that, like,
It was reported that he was expected to sign with the Saints, and then I guess last minute pulled out
to go to
to go
visit
to
Indy,
Indianapolis because they offered more money.
and then he left Indy without a deal.
Yeah, so I'm like sitting here, I'm like, so what are we doing? Like, how much money do you want?
Is it a money thing? Is it a scheme thing? Is it a touches thing?
Well, with the Saints, I mean, Kamara's out for 3 games now. So, I mean, Jamal Williams and the rookie, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Kendre Miller. I should know his name, TCU guy. They're going to split. I don't know about split, but Jamal Williams should have that number 1 spot locked down for the first 3 weeks.
Totally.
So, I mean, he has a better shot in New Orleans, I think, with the state of their running backs, maybe. But with Indianapolis, I mean, it's tough actually. I don't know because you just don't know with Jonathan Taylor.
Right.
It's such a messy situation. I mean, I guess you can't go wrong with either or. It's just at some point Jonathan Taylor is probably hopefully gonna be there. You never know. You really don't know.
I'm getting like shades of the
Le'Veon
Bell holdout.
Yeah, if we get a Le'Veon Bell situation, then, if I'm Colts, I'm pulling the trigger.
Making a move, yeah.
Making a move up.
There are still some guys left. There's Kareem Hunt. There's Leonard Fournette, Ezekiel Elliott. That's just to name a few. I mean, there's so much talent left from the running back position, and of course, as we have talked about right now, we've talked about over the last few weeks, it's just been severely undervalued.
Right.
And there are going to be some guys, some studs. Delvin Cook is another free agent that's still out there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's really interesting to see what's going to happen, specifically with the Saints, with the Colts, with the AFC East as a whole, and their love for running backs. But yeah, there are still some guys left, and that this final wave of free agency before the season starts is going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah. Some of those guys are going to have homes at some point. I think a lot of those guys that we named should be on a roster at some point. It just depends on injuries, possible suspensions. You never know. Somebody might want to start sports betting in the middle of the season. Jeez. It's so under the microscope. So I mean, you never know. Saints were expected to sign both Hunt and Anthony Barr, the linebacker, but they both backed out. Maybe it was just a bad day in New Orleans. I don't know. Maybe
they must not like what they see.
Hot.
They saw Derek Carr throw like a limp duck to to Michael Thomas, and Michael Thomas
too many slants to Michael
popped
Thomas.
a hammy, and it was all a mess.
Yeah, it was all a mess. So yeah, maybe they're just like, you know what? Let's look elsewhere. Jadeveon Clowney visiting Baltimore. Maybe it could be something.
Baltimore, old, still solid edge rushers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. They Justin Houston was a name. I mean, he still put up a decent season, but
Calais Campbell.
I will say this: I have a soft spot for Calais Campbell.
He's one of my favorite players in the league. Favorite defensive players in the league, I should say.
He from a player standpoint, his prime years in the NFL, I watched a lot of his videos on YouTube about pass rushing technique.
We talked about that. Who did we talk about? Caleb Murphy.
Murphy, yeah,
really designed his game off of Calais Campbell.
Yeah, he is a pass rushing extraordinaire, and he's coming from that interior defensive lineman spot. But I mean, he is just a legend. He's a legend. He is a guy who
I think he'll be a Hall of Famer.
It's a good signing from Atlanta too to get him because they have such a young team. So having a guy like there in the locker room on the field is such a good. Presence. And then last thing for news, have you looked at the Johnny Manziel documentary?
I haven't looked at the Johnny Manziel documentary yet, but I've seen bits and pieces.
I've seen clips on TikTok.
But I've also seen, Hard Knocks premiered last night.
That too, yeah.
I haven't. I have to catch up on everything.
Good things.
I have actually I have to watch Quarterback. I have to watch Manziel.
Watched some of Quarterback.
I have to watch Hard Knocks. I have my content ahead of me.
Yeah, the Manziel clips, the one that I saw that everybody's talking about is the one where he was on the brink of committing suicide and the gun malfunctioned. And I'm like, what? We didn't hear about this. And then another clip I saw was his family wasn't actually rich. They said that he came from an oil family, a family that is in the oil industry.
Yeah.
And all that was a lie.
Was it just to help him for football?
It was just for clout. Help. Give him clout basically.
Yeah.
Help him. Boost his ego. Boost into that Johnny football. Mantle that he had.
I did see that they were installing his time in the NFL. They were installing little trackers that could see how much film you were watching.
And he had zero.
He had
0.0.
He did not watch a lick of film.
That's embarrassing. I saw a funny tweet, though. It was Johnny Manziel watched 0 minutes of film, but has more 300-yard passing games than Justin Fields.
That's that's a stat.
That's a stat. I mean, I just thought it was funny. I mean, I hope I didn't offend any Bears fans. Justin Fields is a great talent.
We're gonna get killed in the comments.
Get
now.
killed in the comments. Yeah. From last year or not last year, last week having Alan Garcia on, and he was, Packers fan talking about the NFC.
I promise
North.
we're not an anti-Bears.
We're not anti-NFC North, anti-Bears podcast. So just putting that out there. But yeah, definitely gonna take a watch of the rest of that documentary. Hopefully tonight or tomorrow. Because I heard really good things. Like same with like the Manti Te'o documentary last year. Like that was a really
great.
Good one. And then they're coming out with I think like a Miami U documentary. I think they're coming out with. I got to see that. Jake Paul, I think. I mean, that's kind of irrelevant, but I think Jake Paul's getting like a documentary.
Jake Paul knocking out Nate Diaz in the 5th.
Yeah, that probably I won't watch because I am a big anti.
He won again.
Jake Paul guy.
He's 5-0 against MMA fighters.
Yeah. No.
He's 5-0.
He's 5-0.
I wanted to hate him, and we're gonna branch off into not football. But I want to hate him, but. You have to respect him. You have to respect his game.
I respect the grind. I just hate his
ego.
You
got to respect the game at this point. I mean, what different is he than Conor McGregor at this point with the flair and with the wins
because
to back
Conor
it up?
McGregor
is Irish.
Yeah, I love Irish. Yeah, but I mean, it's just like I don't know. Conor McGregor was not built, but like. He's been at it for a long time. I mean, he strived to be a boxer, and I mean, I guess it's the same thing now with Jake Paul.
Jake Paul is the American Conor McGregor. You heard it here first, folks.
I just didn't like the approach he took. I mean, he was fighting like he fought Nate Robinson for God's sakes. Like I didn't like the approach he had, but like Conor McGregor like off rip was like, hey, I want to be a professional MMA fighter.
Yeah, it's just a career, a little career shift from YouTube.
Like when he boxed Floyd Mayweather, I rooted for Floyd.
I think, yeah, I did too.
Because I was like, Floyd needs to shut his ass up. That's how I felt, and that's kind of how I feel when people Isabella Penn, woo, yeah, I'm happy you're watching, Isabella. So what was I saying? But like it's just. When you have that ego, some of the times I like to see them get shut up, like silenced. You see what I'm talking about? Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
so were you anti McGregor too?
For against the Floyd in the Floyd fight, I was.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, like other than that though, like not really.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a competitive sport. I will say that, but it's just again, people will see where I'm coming from. Is like the whole like. He was like an influencer, just like kind of an ass. Started
POS.
fighting like he started fighting like non-boxers and was like saying like, "Oh, I'm the best in the world," like type thing. But now that he's fighting actual MMA fighters, now it's kind of like, oh, okay. But still, I'm still rooting for him to get silenced a little bit. I don't know. It's just like a personal vendetta, I guess. I mean, I like Logan Paul.
He's worse.
He's worse?
I think he's worse.
You think he's worse?
Jake Paul just has an ego. Logan Paul is just a terrible person.
Well, he did do that one thing.
Yeah.
The thing in Japan.
Yeah, that one thing.
That was pretty bad. That was pretty bad. But I mean, I feel like he has better morals, right? Currently. I don't know. Okay, we're branching off into stuff I don't know much about.
We're going out of our wheelhouse here.
I'm a casual fan of this,
let's head back to our Rick
Let's
house.
head back into football. So we had the Hall of Fame game last week. Cleveland won. Did you get to watch that game?
I watched bits and pieces. Shout out to our boy Thomas Greeny. He was
Shout out Thomas.
He was out on the field. He had 4 catches, right?
He had like 3 or 4 catches. Yeah, he
4
had some
catches,
targets.
like 40 yards. Yeah, he was getting looks, which was great. Dorian Thompson Robinson did his thing.
Yeah, he looked good. I thought he looked better than Kellen Mond.
Yeah, I agree.
And Kellen Mond's been in the league for a couple of years. He was supposed to be like the predecessor to Kirk Cousins at one point, but it just never panned out. And then DTR, he comes in. I liked him in college, at UCLA. He had a solid collegiate career. Comes to Cleveland. I think he has a good case to become that number 2 behind Deshaun Watson. Any other takeaways? Cleveland's running backs I thought looked good. There was a guy, I think Felton. I want to say
Demetric Felton.
Demetric
Yep.
Felton. He looked solid. I think it might have been Jerome Ford. I don't know if he played or not. I think it was either Jerome Ford or there's another name that I'm drawing a blank on. And then for the Jets, I thought Zach Wilson looked okay. I mean, it is preseason. He had a really nice completion. It was like a 57-yard completion that Aaron Rodgers called the play. Offensive coordinator Aaron Rodgers over here. So that was, that was cool. But yeah, in the end, Cleveland won. I mean, it's preseason. It doesn't really matter who wins, who it doesn't win. I mean, if a team, if say like the Bills or somebody went 0-4, 0-3, it puts a little bit of a bad taste in your mouth. But then again, it's like it's preseason.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be like the Ravens, who are on like a 23-game win streak of the preseason, but they haven't won a Super Bowl off of that, or they've won like I think maybe a couple playoff games, but preseason doesn't really matter. It's just giving everybody a look. That's not your starter,
right?
Or unless it's a starter that's coming from a new team. So did you win anything on the underdog take 5 or no?
No, I only went 2 for 5 on my pick.
I think I went 3 for 5. I didn't get Zach Wilson points. I didn't get, and then I think I did the under for Dorian Thompson Robinson. And I don't think I got it. I think he got over. I could be wrong, but I know I didn't get the take 5. So yeah. That being said, we have the first official week of games coming up.
Do we want to get paid real quick?
We can get paid real quick. I'm ready whenever you are.
I have my pick 5 ready. Do you have your pick 5?
I'll have it ready by the time you're with the monologue.
All right. So with underdog, we gotta talk about pick'ems pretty soon. But
Right.
today we're gonna still talk about the great best ball mania. It's still going on. So we're proud to be partnered with Underdog Fantasy, and we want to talk to you about the biggest fantasy football tournament of all time, Best Ball Mania 4.
Best Ball Mania 4.
Don't know what Best Ball is? It's simple. You just enter Best Ball Mania in Underdog's slick mobile app, draft your team, and that is it. Yep, it's set and forget as Underdog optimizes your lineup weekly to create the highest scoring one. It's here, it's Best Ball Mania 4, and it's your shot at the first place prize of $3 million. 3 millies.
3 millies.
Get signed up on UnderdogFantasy.com or via the App Store with promo code BIGYAC. That's BIGYAC. And we'll get your first deposit doubled up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code BIGYAC. BIGYAC.
Big Yak.
You must be 18 years old and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. And if you're concerned with your play, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY for help today. You got your pick 5 ready? I got my pick 5 ready.
I got mine ready. You go first.
All righty. This is the week of rookies.
The week of rookies.
So I have 4 rookies and 1 second or third year player. I forget how many years he's been in the league. I think it's a second year player. Starting with Houston at New England. Tank Dell. Give me higher than 1.5 receptions. I think we're going to get a couple looks for him.
Right.
CJ Stroud, baby. Let's see it. The CJ Stroud era has started.
It just started.
Give me higher than 66.5 passing yards. I'm taking that all day.
All day.
Jordan Addison heading over to Minnesota at Seattle on Thursday at 10 p.m. Ugh. I'm not going to be watching that, but I will be looking afterwards when I wake up to see if I won.
Yeah.
Give me higher than 15.5 receiving yards for Jordan Addison. Justin Jefferson's not going to be playing, I'm sure. I'm sure this is going to be. This is going to be Jordan Addison's first looks for coaches. So I'm sure we'll see more than 15 receiving yards out of him.
Yeah.
Give me higher Jackson Smith-Njigba than 1.5 receptions. Come on, he's going to get 2 catches.
Yeah.
He's going to get his lick on Thursday, but that's an easy one. That's another give me for me. And how about Bailey Zappi? Give me Bailey Zappi higher than 5.35 fantasy points. I saw him light him up in a real NFL game. I think he's going to play a majority of these snaps,
Gave
too.
Mac Jones a run for his money.
That's true. So give me higher. We're going all higher on this pick'em here.
All right. So here I go. First, C.J. Stroud higher 4.25 fantasy points. I think we're gonna see a good dose of Stroud. I think he's gonna deliver with a touchdown, whether it's passing or rushing. That should put me over 4.2. Hopefully. New England running back J.J. Taylor. He was a guy last year who was going to be kind of like a 1-2 punch with Damian Harris injured behind Ramondre Stevenson. So he was a guy that is viewed as a nice receiving back. I know we haven't really seen him NFL action in the regular season, but I have him over 44.5 rushing and receiving. Am I going to get that? Hopefully. But, I've heard J.J. Taylor's name since last year, so I'm guessing he's going to get a good amount of love heading into tomorrow's game. My other 3 picks. So I have 2 from Seattle, 1 JSN higher than 1.5 receptions. I think that's an obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
Going to get his good share of looks. Drew Lock, I think, is going to be the quarterback. So hopefully Drew Lock, get our boy at least 2 receptions. So I have Jalen Reagor, lower than 20.5 receiving yards. I am not a big Jalen Reagor fan. I used to be. TCU guy.
Uh-huh.
Came to the NFL. I don't know what happened. He's just been a certified bust. So, Jalen Reagor, lower than 20.5 receiving yards. I just can't see it.
Yeah.
Give me lower, and then I saw this guy's name, and I have no idea who he is, but I think it's a interesting name. Roderick Thompson.
Sir Roderick. I think I remember. He's a rookie, right?
Thompson. He is a running back.
Yeah, I remember that name.
Lower than 32.5 rushing and receiving yards. I'm going to go lower. I have no idea who that is. I saw his name.
If you can't identify him, take the lower.
I'm going to take the lower. I think that's a decent bit of information.
Solid. I put $5 down on mine.
Yeah, I put $1.
I got a chance to win 20 times my money. Check the screen. 20
There you
times
go.
my money. That
20
5 could
times.
turn into 100.
Be a quick $100.
Quick $100 off a preseason. Come on now.
Yeah, just like the cornhole tournament.
Yeah,
They get
exactly.
money left and right.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the 2 games for Thursday, tomorrow night. Friday, we have Giants at Detroit, Pittsburgh at Tampa, Green Bay at Cincinnati, Atlanta at Miami, Washington at Cleveland, Denver at Arizona. Anybody that stands out to you in any of those games? Not in the pick 5 cents, but just as a fan.
Yeah, there are some few games. Sorry, I'm just getting some technical things situated.
Okay.
But no, there's a lot of guys. I mean, obviously, we already talked about a lot of the rookies. I do definitely want to see Devin Akane. I want to see what he can do. That Miami backfield is really crowded.
Yeah.
You got Jeff Wilson, you got Raheem Mostert, who both look like the incumbent starters. But, I mean, this is young legs in that backfield. And, they're I hate to say it, but they're due to miss a couple games.
Right.
So I'm excited to see what he can do. What I'm really looking forward to is Saturday's slate. And taking a look at Buffalo against Indianapolis. Obviously for Buffalo, because Buffalo, I really want to see Dalton Kincaid. I want to see the battle at middle linebacker and cornerback too. I want to see how that shapes out. But really, I am stoked to see Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
That's a guy I want to see. I was in the stadium when Josh Allen threw his first touchdown pass as a Buffalo Bill in the preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really fun to watch, and I wish I was going to this field for Anthony Richardson to see potentially his first passing touchdown as an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm probably more interested in seeing Saturday's slate, but there are definitely some guys out there on Friday that'll be good to see.
Yeah. For me, Pittsburgh Tampa's a little interesting. For Pittsburgh, I want to see Darnell Washington. That's a guy who
Stud.
I'm intrigued to see how he's going to pan out because he has the measurements of to be a top tight end in this league, but is the play going to translate? And that was one of my big things. One of my big criticisms of him was he just didn't have the stats to be a, top pick tight end. Didn't think he was going to be in the first round or the second round. So I want to see how they use him again, it's also preseason, so it's probably only going to be a little bit of a taste. Tampa Bay, I'm intrigued to see the whole Baker Mayfield, Kyle Trask debacle. Whatever
That's going to be an interesting one.
Going to be going on with that. Atlanta, Miami, you said Devin Akane. I'm interested in seeing him. But Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson,
Are we even going to see a lot of him, do you think?
So I think we're going to see well, here's the thing is they came out of their depth chart and Bijan Robinson was the third on the depth chart. I mean,
That's
I'm not
just procedural.
It's procedural, I know. But I mean,
who's the starter?
Cordell Patterson. And then Tyler Algier is in front of him. I mean, it's not like I'm not underlooking it or overlooking it, but like it's something to keep your eye on a little bit because Tyler Algier was there last year. He did have 1,000 yards, or he was close to 1,000 yards
as a rookie.
So I mean, I wouldn't rule this out completely if he really is starting off as the third.
We're looking at potentially one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
So I feel like that depth chart's going to be more of a flowing situation.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Maybe you'll see some days where Cordell Patterson still gets the start, and then
Right.
Bijan Robinson fills in. They just have so many legs in that backfield. That
I think you can see Cordell Patterson take a little bit of a step back. You see him more as a receiver, and he still is going to be he's still the return man.
Yep.
So I think he takes a step back there
like a
in that
scat back
field
type role too.
Yeah, I think he's just going to be like a Swiss Army knife for them.
Totally.
And then, but the Tyler Algier situation, I wouldn't rule him out as, taking a step back to Bijan. I think he's still going to get his fair share of carries. And that might be a hot take.
Would you consider him a potential sleeper to draft in fantasy?
Yeah. No, I'm definitely, Tyler Algier is going in the later rounds. I definitely would take a pick on him. I wouldn't go too high. I wouldn't probably go top 10 rounds. But anything after the 10 rounds, if he's sitting there, I definitely would take him because what he did last year with that team, the quarterback situation, Marcus Mariota kind of just left. Desmond Ridder steps up. I like Tyler Algier. But again, Bijan Robinson, top 10 pick. I mean, it's just they're both going to be on the field. It's kind of in a way, it's like Buffalo's tight end situation where you have Dawson Knox as a guy who has been your number one tight end the last couple of years.
Reports out of camp are saying he's looked
the best season he's had.
Yes, this is his best offseason as a pro.
Right. So I think it's kind of like a situation where you just can't have both those guys off the field. Cordell Patterson, I mean, he is getting up there in age. I think he's 34? He's like almost mid-30s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can see him taking a step back. I think right now, a lot of those depth charts that came out are more of like, hey, this is day one. And
32.
32.
32 years old.
32. I mean, he's up there. For running backs, that's old.
Yeah, it is.
That's
ancient. That's like top 5 oldest. Actually, Latavius Murray is the oldest running back in the NFL right now.
I mean, he's 33.
Yeah.
So, again, I think that might have been a day one pick, like a day one depth chart situation with a lot of these teams. But, again, it's something to look at. I just wouldn't go over the top. Like, I wouldn't not draft Bijan Robinson, like, in the first round. I still would take the flyer on him at the end of the first round.
Where do you feel comfortable drafting him more on that topic?
I mean, before that news came out, I saw him earliest 7 or 8. Nothing higher than that. But now, I mean, that might have put him down a couple spots. I mean, if you're in a 12-man, he might now be going like 10 or 11.
Do you think he makes it out of the first round? Or is the talent there?
The talent is there, for sure. It's just more of like, it just depends how the rest of the preseason unfolds. I mean, if he really is the number 3 running, like if that chart is as true as it is, which I don't think it's going to be, by the end of this preseason, if he is still the 3rd man in this rotation, then I am concerned.
Yep.
A little bit. Just a little bit. It's not really a good sign to see him entering the regular season when you're in a fantasy draft, in a fantasy standpoint. As an Atlanta fan, it's more of like, all right, we could have him sit back and kind of develop.
But as someone who took a first-round investment on him.
That's the thing. In fantasy football is a whole different animal. Now you're sitting here like, well, this could make or break my team if this guy really is the third guy in this rotation. But no, I think Patterson takes a step back. I think he's going to be more of the return man, more of like the veteran presence, and as a receiver, because he used to play receiver.
Right.
And then Algier, I think it's going to be like a 1-2 punch with them.
Yeah.
And then I think by the end of the season, Bijan will be the guy. I've seen some people saying Bijan Robinson is going to be a top 3 back. I guess can't see it right now.
I'm still taking Christian McCaffrey.
You just can't have
Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
If he plays, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs. If he plays,
I mean, it's more of like he has the talent to be that for sure. But it's more of like you just can't really. I don't know if you can really ignore what Tyler Allgeier's what he did last season.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a steal. He was a diamond in the rough.
And that's almost what's kind of like keeping me from drafting Bijan Robinson in the first. I'm in 6 redrafts this year. 6 redrafts, 3 dynasties. Every single one of my redrafts, except for one of them, I have the 7th pick or later.
Yeah.
So Bijan Robinson is a real option for me in
Right.
all of my leagues. But I'm still hesitant because I don't know how much Tyler Algier is going to be eating into those snaps.
Right.
Like I need to pick a guy in the first round that has the lion's share of touches, not just like a 50-50 workload,
Yeah.
60-40 even.
I think it's going to be a big 50-50 split. Like the first half of the season, it's a real possibility. I wouldn't like go into this saying, "Oh, Bijan, number 1 running back for sure." He got drafted top 10 automatically. You can't say that. You really can't unless they didn't have Tyler Algier last year. Tyler Algier had like a 400-yard season. He didn't really show much. Then I could see this happening, but we just can't ignore it. So,
and then you got to look at the quarterback situation too.
yeah.
Desmond Ridder is still a huge question mark.
Right.
We don't know what we have in Desmond Ridder. He showed promise. He looked real good, and I'm kind of high on him. But again, a bad quarterback play doesn't always translate into more usage in the run game. It makes your offense one-dimensional.
Right.
So it really also relies on Desmond Ridder, and even goal line snaps. If he's eating a lot of those goal line touches, there's going to be too many hands in the pot for touchdowns. So I don't know. I'm still kind of cautious about.
You got to be cautious
Bijan.
for sure. But it could be it's a high risk, high reward type situation.
For sure.
Definitely not a low risk. If you go into that thinking it's a low risk, then you got to have some backup options for sure at running back. Other notable guys, I really want to see Stetson Bennett. He is a guy
Old man Bennett.
I want to see it because they said he looks good in camp, so I'm intrigued. I want to see him. You know what kind of story it would be as a 25-year-old, almost 26-year-old quarterback becoming a rookie and going in and just lighting it up. Like that would be such a great story. Stetson Bennett, Quentin Johnson is another guy who a lot of people kind of gave him, a little bit of heat from his. He didn't have the greatest of hands. He had a lot of, he's catching balls with his body. Pause. TCU guy. As a TCU fan, I'm excited to see what he can bring in that offense because he is potentially the future. Him and Mike Williams, and even Mike Williams is, he's 27.
Going back to Stetson Bennett real quick.
Yeah.
Who do you think is older, Stetson Bennett or Pokemon Red and Blue?
Stetson Bennett.
It's close.
Who's older?
So, Pokemon Red and Blue.
That's like 98, though, right? 97?
Pokemon Red and Blue was released February 27th, 1996.
Oh, 96. Oh.
It was 96. So,
it has Stetson Bennett.
Stetson Bennett was born October 28th, 1997. But this is where we're working with here, where this guy's as old as Pokemon.
I thought those games came out, or no, when did the anime came out? That was 99, I think.
99, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, actually, okay. We have to be specific here because this was the Japan release date.
Oh.
The U.S. release date was September 28th, 1998.
That's what I'm saying. I remember.
Stetson Bennett is older than the U.S. release of Pokemon.
Yeah, a lot of Americans didn't know what Pokemon probably was until '98. You know, they didn't have internet as accessible as we do, so they probably didn't know.
There he is.
You know, good old Stetson Bennett. Wait, are you pulling?
Oh, that's not the right one.
Yeah,
There he is. He just looks old.
He does.
Like,
He looks like he's been through a lifetime.
He looks
like he's a drunk. No, he looks like one of those like hip dads that are like 40 and he's like smoking weed with like his.
He looks like a young
20-year-old
upstart
kid.
in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, but I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for him nonetheless. I like seeing storylines like that where people
College
prove it.
teammates with Matt Stafford.
You're just not making it better. Retired. Stoney Michel won 2 Super Bowls and retired before this dude even took a snap, and they were
That's
teammates.
a true stat. That's
a
actually
true
a true stat. Stetson Bennett and Sony Michel played on the same Georgia roster.
That's crazy.
Played
That
on the
is
same
crazy.
Georgia roster.
That is crazy.
Came into the league, won 2 Super Bowls, retired. Stetson Bennett hasn't taken his first snap yet as an NFL player.
Running back at that point. That is crazy to me. Another name I want to see is Justin Ross. Justin Ross, undrafted
Yes.
guy. Chiefs are playing the
How could I
Saints.
forget about him?
Yeah.
That's a guy that's high on my list.
If he balls out in the preseason, man, I know it's just preseason, but that could shoot his fantasy stock up.
We're
a
talking
lot.
Romeo Dobbs level. You remember last year the disgusting amount of hype from Romeo
Oh.
Dobbs?
I mean, he's good, but like, man, Justin Ross. If this is the Chiefs we're talking about, though.
Right. This is Patrick Mahomes throwing
If he
to a
gets a-
bunch of guys, just a bunch of Jags.
If he develops Justin Ross into his form that he was at Clemson, anything close,
I mean,
that's
who's
scary.
his competition? Richie James? Sky Moore?
Kadarius Toney?
Kadarius Toney?
I mean, he could be better than those guys. I mean, right now he's probably like wide receiver 5 or 6 on the roster. But
Marquez Valdez-Scantling?
yeah, but those are guys who he could beat out. I think
That's
he's
what I'm
a
saying,
better- he
yeah.
could be- I think he's better
That's
Athlete than them.
that's what I'm saying.
You know, had
I
better
think
collegiate careers than
Mhm.
those guys. So we'll see. I mean, I really want to see how he looks in that Kansas City outfit. We're not going to see Patrick Mahomes.
where are you taking him right now in fantasy leagues?
I mean, in a redraft, I'm taking him probably like
Where
one
do
of
you
the
feel comfortable?
one of the last 3 rounds right now. In a dynasty though,
Are you buying?
his stock is a little bit more intriguing in a dynasty. I'm not gonna lie.
This is the time to buy now.
Buy
Like,
now.
like literally as of this recording,
He's not
buy
he
now
is not
if you
available.
want him. Because if he has a good first preseason game,
And you can put him on your taxi squad too.
mm-hmm.
You know, it's an intriguing name.
Yeah.
If he's as good as advertised as he was at Clemson and how he's been at Chiefs camp, then I'm buying any day of the week. But I'm not putting in that high of a draft pick for him though. He's probably gonna be like one of the last 3 rounds, one of your last 3 draft picks. Like if he's sitting there with like if I had the last pick and he's sitting there, I'm not letting him go undrafted. He is making his way on this team. I will say that. But yeah, with San Francisco, that's the last game of the Week 1 slate. I want to see how their quarterbacks pan out. Brock Purdy, I don't know if he's playing. He's not going to play the preseason game, but we're going to see Trey Lance and Sam Darnold.
We're gonna see a whole lot of Trey Lance, I think.
And we'll see, man, because this is make or break time. Brock Purdy right now is scheduled to be the number 1.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant, the underdog. Like he's proving so many people wrong, and it's such a great story, and he gets the job done. From what they said he's done so far at 49ers camp is, they've been limiting him with his elbow, but when he's there, he's efficient. That's the thing and that's what they want. That's what that offense is efficiency. It's not a guy who's like a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, who's going to explode and take the top off a defense. They just need a game manager that's smart. That's what Brock Purdy is.
Do you think that this preseason slate of games for the 49ers is more of like trade bait for Trey Lance? Are they all
I
in?
definitely think it is.
Are they all in on Brock Purdy right now and just want to cut their losses?
I feel like half of the organization is in on Purdy and half of it isn't. Like I think like John Lynch is like
this is one of the most higher profile quarterback battles that I remember in recent memory.
I'm not buying into the Sam Darnold hype though. I will say this. Sam Darnold hype, I don't care if he's on the San Francisco 49ers. I just don't think he is him.
No.
I just don't think so. But Brock Purdy versus Trey Lance though. Those are two guys. Trey Lance though we're still seeing, but I mean, you invest that much capital into him. It's like if he doesn't pan out with San Francisco, he needs to pan out with somebody else. I thought before the draft, before Texas got Stroud, I thought that they were going to make a run for Trey Lance. And then they're going to try the experiment because of DeMeco Ryans. And that was one of the only spots. With him, Vegas, I was thinking, but Vegas is like, we're going to go get Jimmy G. And we're going to try it. So Trey Lance loses this quarterback battle. I think we've talked about it on the show a lot. I think like a team like the Raiders should make a go for him. Have him battle out Saints. I mean, I would even like if I'm Minnesota, I'm taking a look at him as well because Kirk Cousins is on the last year of his contract and they're waiting and seeing with him. It's kind of a make or break. He needs some playoff success in order to finish his career with Minnesota.
He doesn't
or we could
plan
see
on
him
re-signing right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. Minnesota's probably going to be in the quarterback market this offseason coming up. I'd say take a waiver on Trey Lance. His market right now is just decreasing by the day. Unless he comes in the preseason, blows it up, or if Brock Purdy gets hurt and he comes in and you still have that same back and forth battle. Because it's as long as they're on the same roster, I think it's going to just keep being this battle. You're going to have this guy who took you to the NFC Championship game, and you're going to have this guy who you invested almost three first round picks into. So it's just
while we're on the topic of Vikings and quarterback, let me just imagine for a second. Somehow Minnesota finds their way, whether it's by stinking it up or by trading it up.
Mm-hmm.
They get the first overall pick next year.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that Vikings offense, Caleb Williams, throwing to all of those weapons?
Here's the thing. It's intriguing, but they would have to be very bad. And I just think even the roster isn't that bad, to be honest. I think there is a handful of teams that are worse than Minnesota. Minnesota, I think, is still a fringe playoff team. They didn't do that much in the offseason for me to call them a real contender, but I could see them being a wild card team, as what they were last year. So, I don't know. They would have to be really bad. There would have to be like an intense injury bug. I don't think they're not going to be able to trade up for that spot. I think Kyler Murray's going to be on his way out, and Arizona's going to go all in on Caleb Williams.
And where does Kyler Murray? Does Kyler Murray end up in the purple and yellow?
That could be a.
Oh, that sounds filthy too.
It sounds filthy. It does. But Kyler Murray, Arizona is on the brink of full rebuild mode.
Yep.
They're just trying to hope Kyler Murray comes back at a good time. So whether they can maybe salvage something.
I'll tell you what, this is the ultimate buy low for Kyler Murray.
Yeah, if I'm buying low for sure.
I took some Kyler Murray stock in one of my dynasty leagues.
Yeah.
That's a true, this is the time to buy him.
Yeah, and it's just, I saw videos of the Arizona practices, and they just look rough. They just don't look like a professional football team. They're just, I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm just being observant. You get rid of DeAndre Hopkins. You just don't really invest that much in your team. I mean, you don't re-sign guys like Byron Murphy. I know that was like a last year thing, but he's a good piece. Isaiah Simmons. What do you even have with Isaiah Simmons? He's still a guy that he's taking steps, but he's still what even is his
what is he?
What even is his official position? Because he's probably listed as a safety, but he definitely doesn't. What is that?
We're 1 hour in.
We're 1 hour in? Oh, okay. what even is he? Like, it's just, I don't know. He is just an interesting name also on the Arizona defense. There's all over the place. I don't know. I could see like a James Conner getting traded. I could see Marquise.
Don't do that to my fantasy
I'm not
stock.
trying to do
Actually,
it.
I sold all of my James Conner. So
Yeah. Marquise Brown, I don't see him being on that team.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. Zach Ertz is going to be out the door too. It's just there's a lot of just. I think they just need a tank. I just think they need a rebuild. Send Kyler off somewhere else. Hopefully somebody like retires. Somebody like a I don't know, that'd be a good fit. But like a Tennessee or like a Rams. Matt Stafford retires. I don't know. I mean, I probably wouldn't trade him in division like that, but you never know. It's just, if I'm Arizona, I'm going rebuild mode. I don't know what they're doing.
You could probably get a couple first-round picks for Kyler.
You could. I mean, yeah, you probably wouldn't go in division, but I'd say, like, Raiders are our team. I see them.
That just sounds. I don't want to see.
It
Kyler
sounds
Murray
gross,
in
but
the black and
then
silver.
again, like Kyler Murray on Vegas, it's kind of like.
Well, it's like Oakland back when they were Oakland, and then hey, it might be the Las Vegas A's, so he could just do both.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see a lot. I don't know. Yeah, Minnesota though, they're still a first. They had to be really bad. Yeah. I think like Arizona, Tampa Bay, like maybe Houston. There's a handful of teams that are worse, but I think those are teams that are finishing top 5.
What about the Patriots?
Patriots top 10 finish. They're bad.
Patriots are a wild card for me because they could finish 2-15, or they could finish 10-7.
We've talked about it on the show. I think they're going to get
lit up in the division.
Lit up when it comes to divisional games, and those are what matters most.
Yeah.
They're not better than any of those teams. I don't care what anybody says, what Patriots fan comes on. They're not better than any of those teams. So, yeah. I don't know. We'll definitely see. So that's going to be the week 1 of the preseason. Other than that, we don't really have that much left to talk about. Fantasy football-wise, we have the Big Yak Fantasy League.
Yes, we should go over some housekeeping with that.
Right.
2 weeks from today was August 23rd. There will be no episode of the Big Yak Podcast.
No episode, but we will be here drafting our fantasy league.
Yes, yeah. So we took a week off of the show so we can organize everyone. Me and Mike know that Wednesdays already automatically work for us, and it gives us some time so we can prep for this league. For anyone that's listening in, that's in the league, it's a $20 to $25 buy-in. I forget what exactly we said. $20 buy-in. Winner gets the pot and a whole lot of Big Yak merch.
A lot of Big Yak merch.
So yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. We'll be updating people as the weeks go on. We'll have maybe like a leaderboard or somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, we will not have an episode in 2 weeks, so we can focus on that.
We're undecided about taping the drafts and letting everybody see it, but I don't know. I mean, we'll see. If it's too much of a hassle, I think we're just gonna have the draft. Maybe some behind the scenes stuff.
Couple clips here and there.
Clips, some videos posted on the Instagram. Maybe like make a reel out of it. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, that's in 2 weeks. So no episode on the 23rd, but we will be back next week for sure. Regular scheduled program. But yeah, Big Yak Fantasy Week coming up, or league coming up.
Merge League's coming up too.
Merge League's coming up too. We don't have an official date for that, but that's also coming up. So. A lot of big things coming. Football season is upon us. Regular season is almost upon us. Very exciting times. We're almost at that time where it's going to be a chilly October night, and Sunday Night Football is going to be playing, and it's probably going to be Eagles and Cowboys.
You're going to be sitting back and relaxing and listening to Take It to the Bank.
Take It to the Bank, yeah. You're going to have like a nice cup of coffee. You're going to have...
You're sitting there with your
nice
apple cider bourbon smash.
Yeah, and you're just going to be wrapped up in a blanket with your significant other.
As you watch Mike's face talk about, plus whatever guest who is on our show, talk about Jags covering the spread, covering the over-under.
Yeah, Arizona going undefeated.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's right. We're gonna be talking about Dalton Kincaid and how he's gonna break the rookie tight end record.
Oh yeah. Arizona's probably like plus 90,000 to like go undefeated.
Hey, I would take that. Why not?
You would lose so much money. Whoever's taking that is delusional. But yeah, that's all we have today for episode 57. Want to thank Nico for stepping in and being the producer. Want to thank Moranto. He's over on a cruise somewhere, I guess.
On a booze cruise.
Booze cruise. So hopefully, we'll see Moranto sometime soon. Thank you, Moranto and Emerge. Thank you, Matt Johnson, BICBP Radio Network.
Thank you, this guy that's been sitting next to me this whole time.
This guy.
I don't know him. He's just coming in and just checking in on.
Yeah, he's just a bystander.
He was walking down the street and we pulled him in.
Yeah, we're just, hey, you want to come watch the Big Yak? And he was like, okay. So, yeah.
Shout out our studio audience.
Shout out to the studio audience. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week for episode 58. Have more slate on, some guests on this time around, and it's going to be a fun time. So we'll see you next week. Stick around.